Okay, good afternoon. I will call this meeting of the Nominations Committee to order. Hello, Gaston. How are you?
I'm fine.
Good. All right. So did you received the email from Tanya with the list of people who have submitted interest?
I have a spreadsheet and I have
Okay.
separate information for Cheryl Williams, Curtis Case Fang, Tanya Culpepper, Lucia White, and Charlie Blunt.
Okay.
So I believe I have everything in
You
my.
have everything, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
The one thing I was going to point out real quick that I just noticed looking through is just to verify that Cheryl Williams lives in Raleigh. She lists the Turner House as her contact, but when I go to the IMAPs and tax record information, which granted, not everybody updates the tax records. It has the owner being the heirs, with Cheryl being the administrator, but then the mailing address going to someplace in Garner. So we will want to clarify that for certain.
Okay. Gaston, do you have any information on that?
Oh.
Gaston?
Yeah, I got you now. I don't know exactly where she lives. That's her father's home on Overland, and that's the she's an heir, and she's I think she's the administrator. So I'll have to ask her. She may not have a Raleigh zip code. I don't know that. I'll have to ask.
Yeah.
But I can ask her and get back. I'll text her right now.
Okay, please do, because that's sort of the base level requirement.
If it's, yeah, and then I know that there are some intentions to use the family home more than just she may have dual residency. I'll just find out.
Okay, so what we need is somebody who can serve on COA, and we need somebody who either owns a historic property or lives in a district. And looking on this list we have, let's see. It looks like Bridget Phillips, 220 North East Street. Is that in Oakwood?
Yes.
Okay. Frederick Mike Davis, 525 North Boundary. That's in Oakwood.
Yes.
Is 703 East Franklin?
It is not.
It is not. Okay.
Few blocks too far east.
Okay. And Curtis, how did you say his last name?
Case Fang.
Case Fang. Okay, he's 519 Polk Street. Is that Oakwood?
Yes.
Okay. And we have to get clarification on Cheryl Williams as to whether or not she's in Overland or not, or if she's in Raleigh or not.
Correct.
Okay.
I mean, if she lives in Raleigh, then she would qualify under the HOD or landmark.
Okay. Is there anybody else on this list that lives in overlay district that you can determine?
No.
I think so. Okay.
Mm-mm.
And all right. So Curtis Casefang is a former member of the commission. He has been on the COA committee, and he has been a past chairman of the commission.
He's also currently on DRAC.
And he's currently on track. Any thoughts or comments about that, Gaston?
About his application.
Uh-huh.
Well, only thing that occurred to me, boy, he's like super qualified and done everything, and therefore has that institutional knowledge, experience, etc. The only first restraint I had was, how do we bring new people on? New as in new to the experience. That's what I'm saying. The board is, our commission is so diverse and good now. I mean, I'm not using ageism, but I'm just thinking if we bring fresh blood on, there is some good reason to do that.
Yes, that's true, but I only bring him up because we do have a critical need to sort of stabilize COA at this moment.
Yeah, and I think
he would fit that bill.
And I think with I think with his background and experience, that he would be able to jump right into that without any hesitancy. And
right.
That's one of the trickiest thing we do, I think.
Right. Right now, we've got well, I'll let him do that because that's who I was talking to. So wait a second.
She technically lives in Garner.
All right. Unfortunately,
that's going to be a problem.
yeah, she doesn't qualify. If the clerk sees it, she'll just kick it out. Yeah. You're muted, Gaston.
Our bylaws require that, right?
No, it's not the bylaws. Well, I think the bylaws too, but it's more from the city standpoint, boards and commissioners.
Yeah, you have to be a Raleigh resident.
Raleigh resident. There are some boards that have county representatives, but we are not one, right? Because landmarks are administered right now through Lake County, not the city, even those that are in the extraterritorial jurisdiction. So
to clarify on ownership, she technically would be one of the heirs that owns the Turner house, but doesn't need to be individually owned.
that's not the question.
Oh, you have to live as well.
You have to be a resident.
Okay.
Yeah. So if she's not a resident, then the other piece is moot. So if she did live in Raleigh, then owning the Turner house would qualify, under the bylaws, us needing a quarter of the people to live or own landmark or in an HOD.
But she would be eligible to participate as a member of any committee.
Oh, absolutely.
Other than COA, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And the reason I was in favor of her, considering her, is just because she's such a calm, smart, nice person, and she's organized. And anyway, but we could get her into a committee, and maybe she'll eventually live in the Turner house or whatever.
Yeah, we can certainly offer up either. Oh, there's Nick. Woohoo!
Oh, good.
We can either welcome. We can offer up either research committee or community awareness committee as a non-commissioner volunteer. What I was saying when you got the call, Gaston, was right now with Nick's departure, we've got 3 new COA committee members, and having 4 new isn't great. We've had that happen before in the past and it didn't go so well. So if we had someone with experience, at least for a term, that would be useful to the process.
Well, all other considerations aside, I think that's the fear that I think we all have is that inexperienced guidance in the COA process could come back to bite us, as it has apparently under some circumstances before.
You're on mute, Nick.
It would, it would increase risk. I don't want to come in the middle of the conversation and have you repeat stuff we already did. But my only holdback right now is that I don't really have that list of names, and I can't really split screen on this device, and so I'm at a disadvantage. But Gaston, what we'd worked up was that we were probably, I think I told you when we were talking about the nominations that we would, and I'm blocking on names, but we would need to put in who's our younger talented person as chair of the COA. And she's really only, how long has she been on the committee, Tanya? One year?
July.
Yeah, only since
1
July.
year.
Yeah, and so, but we think she's really talented and that she can do it.
Verche.
Appreciate it.
Verche. And but yeah, and that can work for us because if she's presiding, then she's not really the one having to make the motions, and the other lady whose name also escapes me. It's funny, I'm not sitting here with a list. So, and I've been away from this for several days, and as a result,
Jean.
it's all out of mind. So
Well,
yes, so
Jean
Janine,
McCullough. Janine.
yeah, Janine declined to be the chair, and but I think that will actually work fine because she knows what to do and she's fine to make the motion. She's probably as good as anybody we have at the moment on the committee anyway at doing what needs doing. And so I think if Verche's running it and Janine is making the motions, then the rest will generally fall in line. But we do have risk, and you were right, Gaston, when you said that if anything's going to slip, we don't really want it to be the COA process.
Well, and prior to your coming on board, quick summary, Nick, would be just to tell you that we determined that Cheryl Grooms Williams lives in Garner, has a Garner technical address. Her inherited estate is the Turner House. And we were just passing through Curtis's applications, thinking that he was experienced in an old hand and done these things before. And whether that is good or bad in terms of bringing new blood into the process.
Yeah.
That's what we kind of hit on.
So the background on Curtis is that he was on the COA when I was in that other term, and since then he went and ended up getting back on the DRAC, and so he has been doing that. He's not begging for the job, but he says he will do it if we need the experience on the COA process. And so I think he has value that way as a bridge. and most likely, if we were at a point where we needed to bring some other folks along, he's sort of been there and done that. So he's not looking for that on his resume. And so he would probably, if 2 years from now, we thought it would do well for him to step aside, he probably wouldn't care.
I think that would be an excellent approach. Just my opinion is you would be there to help Verche, make sure that she gets squared away and doesn't get any grief from anybody unnecessarily, and give her guidance, not secretly, but by being there as a mentor of sorts for some knowledge. And then he doesn't have he knows how it functions, you know, motions and whatnot. So there may be that advantage.
Yeah, with him and Verche, it would work pretty well. Now, John and I had a discussion about the process, and I told him that I had heard by the grapevine that folks were thinking we needed some more training on the COA process, and he said, "Well, I'm sure I'm one of them, but on the other hand, I do think I'm trainable." Is what he said to me, and that's fair. I think he will come around. He started off being a little bit quick to conclude he didn't like whatever it was, and sometimes what we really need is just to focus on the guidelines, because while we can't do this with engineering type precision, it helps us be defensible if we can put things in terms of a guideline that gives us concern along the way. So anyhow, I'm just so excited we got this many people that want the job. Because it hadn't always been that way. So Kay, it's your committee. How do you want to do this?
Okay, well, I think it sounds like by consensus, we can, agree on Curtis as one of the two people we would recommend. And
Okay.
so then our task will be now to find a second person who we think has some skills that may be beneficial to what we do. So we've determined that Cheryl Williams is not eligible at the moment because she lives in Garner.
But she would love to be on a committee.
Okay.
So just bear that in mind.
All right.
So Tanya, am I right that if she is a part owner, is she a part owner of the Turner House?
Yes, by the estate. She's an heir apparent and
Okay.
executor.
Well, that doesn't quite do it if it's not I don't think that means she has a vested legal ownership interest at that
But
stage.
she still needs to live in Raleigh, even if she owns the
Okay.
property.
Well,
she still needs to live in Raleigh.
Well, that seals it. We just need to put her on a committee. And I do think we need to put several of these people on a committee to try to keep the hook set on them. So that said, Kay, what other names come to mind? We talked before, and we had it sort of greased in our head about how this might need to work, and we were going to wait for the deadline and see if we got more names. And isn't that about where we were at last month's meeting?
Yeah, I mean, but we didn't come up with, I didn't think we came up with any names necessarily.
Okay.
But
So,
if you have somebody you want to.
No, I'm not lobbying for anybody. I'm just trying to do this by thinking about the skill set that is the next most important for us to be sure we fill. And we got to, Curtis lives in the district, so that'll help us on that part.
Right.
We need to look at the skill sets that we probably need. If that is the internet piece and the website and that part, then fine. If what we really need is in the research side of it, then fine. And then we need to look at the diversity of whatever type and deal with that. And so Tanya's nodding on research.
Yes. Staff was thinking that Susan would do well over on community awareness with her background in marketing and making things happen. And with that, having additional folks, somebody on research to backfill her would be great.
Okay, so we're thinking that Heather has done a great job on community awareness so far, and so we would probably want to keep her there, and but bringing along somebody back of Ian on the research piece is probably what we're needing. So y'all got the names there. Which ones came even close on that? There were a couple people expressed great interest in the history, but whether they have particular skills, it might be another matter.
I'm looking at the spreadsheet.
There's
I'm
somebody
sorry.
on here who has a degree in architectural
History.
history.
Yeah, and I just
Um,
marked it. Hang on a second. I have it here at my fingertips. Where'd she go? Here you
No,
go.
she's an architectural historian. She has a master's in historic preservation.
Who is it? Who is that?
Carolyn Gimble.
That's it.
Uh,
She's a midway down the spreadsheet, if you have the spreadsheet in front of you.
So
She lives in Raleigh, obviously. She has a MA in historic architecture. She moved to Raleigh in 2019. She's a small business owner, I think. That's all I can read right now.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've had an architectural historian.
mm-hmm.
I can't read the column. I can't read column under education work experience, but one of y'all had a better computer than I have. It's printed rather small. And I don't have her CV, so I can't read that part, but I think has a
We don't have
architectural
her
history.
CV. We don't have her CV. And so it might be as a part of this process, if we would like to recommend her, maybe we can ask her for some additional information. And
All right, I got the spreadsheet now on my phone. So I can
I've lost
see.
the spreadsheet somehow.
I'm just okay. And the
I'm hunting for the spreadsheet. I look at that column over there, 3/4 of the way over. It's like work experience and education. I was trying to find that real quick.
I just forwarded the spreadsheet again to Aaron and Gaston. That sounds like you found it again.
yeah. So
So
yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, we would require that they provide a resume to us before making the recommendation, in part because we always have sent it, but also we will need that as part of our certified local government reporting. We have to provide the resume to the state.
Okay. The Sarah Glad, is she a lawyer? Does it say that she works at a law firm or what? Harp Street, isn't that up behind Peace College? But that doesn't make it a historic district. But she's done a number of things with the state. And
she works at the General Assembly.
or it may have been she was just an intern when she was in school or something.
No, I think that she's somebody. She currently works in the General Assembly. She's somebody's like legislative assistant.
Okay.
I think.
All right.
And I can't really see that on my phone, but when I looked at it once before.
Yeah, and down at the bottom of that column you're looking at, it says Smith Anderson Law.
Okay.
And I didn't know what that meant. I'm just looking to see who else other than the Gimble lady might be somebody we needed to talk through.
Am I unmuted or muted? I
You're
can't get back to.
unmuted. We can hear
Okay.
you.
We hear
Okay,
you.
so I got to the big part, so I can read the whole spreadsheet on Gimbal. It says she has an MA in Historic Preservation Planning, graduating in December 2019. So she has an interest in I don't know the lady, she has an interest in historic preservation, and she's either went back to school or she's relatively young.
Right.
Look at the last column to see what age group she's in.
Yeah,
I can-
yeah, 22 to 30. She is young.
Oh, that's,
Yeah, I mean, young is good. I mean, from a diversity standpoint, everyone except for Cheryl that expressed interest is white, with one person, male, noted as being Hispanic or Latino.
But we
Yeah.
got Harold at the moment though. We got
Yeah.
Riche, we got Harold,
that's
and
it.
that's it.
That's it.
That's it. So, I mean, I think what's important is that you note, you know, just be able to say how you ended up where you ended up.
Right. We want the skill set, and we also want to be sure that we are keeping an eye on the diversity, and also we want people from. We don't want just people from Oakwood. We've got a lot of districts, and so we need to think about the Southeast Raleigh. We need to think about Oberlin. And that's another way to be sure that we're getting the strengths we need.
Okay.
To have people familiar with those things. Of course, Gaston is familiar with Oberlin as anybody we would be trying to get anyway.
May I suggest that we request that she provide us, that Ms. Gimbal provide us a full CV as soon as possible, so
Yes.
we could look at it. On the spreadsheet, looks good, right? I mean,
Right.
maybe more that's good that we don't see on the spreadsheet.
Right.
Yeah, we can do that.
So which way are you leaning, Kay? You got thoughts here?
No, not really. I mean, nobody stands out more than anybody else on this list.
We're lucky. We have some pretty.
Yeah.
We've got several people who've got PR and marketing experience.
Which we've got a lot of right now.
Yeah, okay.
Bridget Phillips is an archaeologist, or at least that is what her background is in.
Okay.
Which we also have had for research purposes before.
Do we have anything where we think that might matter this time?
No, I mean, Caleb Smith, who was on the commission, he is an
State
active
archaeologist.
non-commissioner volunteer. So
I got.
But
Could I ask?
do we have a project coming up where archaeology might matter?
no, it's I can't think of any. They tend to come out of the blue when they do.
Yeah, and that's a short-sighted way to analyze it. For me to suggest that we would only do it if we see something right now we need it for.
Can y'all all remind me, refresh my recollection? I think the task of our website and its vitality, blah blah blah, is, you know, that's a heavy lift. Who all besides Travis do we have that's right on spot on that? I mean, technology related to website.
Well, I mean, the commissioners aren't going to make the changes.
Gotcha.
So, you know, I mean, he understands websites. Katie, no, Heather understands websites. Susan might also, I'm not sure where exactly she is on that.
Okay,
So,
I'm just curious. Thank you.
yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'd like to think that Travis or somebody could help us know when we were getting ripped off. So, all right. So one of the steps we ought to do is try to get this rest of the resume on Ms. Gimbel. And we ought to be trying to figure out here if our view is we want to check one other one pretty carefully, or do we want to figure that we're going to go with Ms. Gimbel unless it's just turns out to be pretty thin. But I don't know that. We're supposed to, in our timeline, we got a meeting next week. Our theory was that we would have our nominees at this point. Is that so we don't actually have to have them until May, do we?
Yeah. In my mind, you're the only one that keeps thinking that we
Right.
need to have it sooner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we don't really have to get approval. We don't get approval from the commission. We tell them who we are recommending, but we
Right.
don't ask them to approve who we recommend.
And
It needs to be
ordinarily,
passed to have it, yeah.
it would probably be May when we would get serious about turning that material in and stuff. So we got a month to dither about this.
Do we just refresh my recollection? I know Kay mentioned that maybe by consensus, we agree on Curtis, Case Fang, and
Yeah.
then assuming there's not intervening information that comes to our attention, that would be a good choice given the circumstances and the need for strength on the committee that he can be on. And then we want to get a full resume for maybe both of them, Ms. Phillips and Ms. Gimbel, both.
Yeah.
Okay, this Keith Donahue, I don't know whether what kind of asset he could be in research, but he has lived in and rehabbed several historic homes, both in the United States and abroad.
Yeah.
In London, in Ireland, and in Raleigh. So and he's worked.
And which is that Donahue you're talking about, or which one?
Yes, Donahue, Keith Donahue.
So these are not kin to each other. I take it they spell their names different, right? You got
Who?
Allison Donahue.
Oh. No, I don't think so. No, they're not.
They're different addresses.
And they spell their names differently, yeah.
Yeah. So but yeah, he's got looks like a guy who's probably got a lot of connections. I don't know. Harris Corp, I think that may be ultimately Harris Wholesale, as in beer.
Hey.
Which, yeah, there's a value right there.
Never mind. I'll shut up.
But he's also done stuff with the symphony and the like. So, but yeah, now the name of Tanya Culpepper rings a bell. Is that just because she's been on this list before, or?
Yeah, and actually I think that this is from last year because we didn't she submitted this in April for last year's consideration. She lives in Longview.
Somebody knocked on your door. Whoops, sorry.
She lives in Longview. She's in real estate, and she's expressed interest in the commission before.
Okay.
So she might be good to put on a committee. And in fact, after we made the selections for last year, I said I was going to get back to her about a committee because at that time the committees weren't meeting.
Right.
Just the commission was meeting virtually, and so I never got any further feedback from her. So, but we certainly can follow up with her.
Okay, so anyway, that ultimately for today's purposes is a leftover name.
Right, she's left over from last year. I don't think this is a new interest. She's
Right. Well, Aaron, you or Tanya see names that you think we probably ought to look hard at?
let me ask you, Tanya and Aaron, do you know whether or not this Greg Adams has attended any committee meetings? Because back in the summer, he said he was interested. We said, you all said he could participate in the committee. He said one of the committees, he had a conflict that day, but he was gonna try for the other one, and then I never saw anything further from him. But so we don't know whether he's some kind of engineer. I don't know what.
I don't think he's been to any of them, certainly not
Okay.
any of the ones I've been.
Okay.
Right.
But he has at least sent several emails saying he's interested, in addition to applying through the portal.
So does that expand our request for full resumes to Bridget Phillips, Carolyn Gimbel, Keith Donahue, and Gregory Adams?
Do y'all calculate Bridget Phillips as living in Oakwood?
Yes.
So that one is one that's in the district, which might help us in the future. And the Lucia White at Franklin Street, I guess maybe that's in the district.
No, Tanya said no. It's just
Right. And then Mike Davis on Boundary, I think, is in the district.
He is.
But Mike is a great guy, and that name came up on account of me because I was trying to get names and I asked his wife, and she replied that actually Mike would love to do it, but he doesn't bring the skill sets we're looking for right now, other than he lives in the district. I'm just thinking about what to get out of this list that may help the commission over the longer term.
Well, as nice as her resume is, I don't think Lucia White brings anything to our table that we don't already have right now.
And Mike is sort of the same way.
She'd be great on the community awareness.
Yes. Yeah, and they've got contacts, and they probably got political connections, which are useful. But we've had years where we were desperate to find somebody that lived in the district because we were really short. And we don't want to wind up in that spot. That's always challenging when you get yourself boxed in like that. But I'm not pushing any of these. But I do think we ought to take several of them and try to offer them a committee slot, and then we'll figure out who of them will actually start showing up. And frankly, it's easier to show up for one of these virtual things as long as you got internet than it is to do a live meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So y'all
this Charlie Porter, he's expressed interest, and he has been on research before.
Is that a new name that's not on the spreadsheet?
He's not on the spreadsheet, but I sent you him last night.
I got it. Yeah, I did not get a chance to look. What does he bring?
Well, history. he has a keen sense for history, and he sent an email expressing that he'd really like to be on the commission, but he has been on the research committee before, and as Tanya has said, I think he was a little put off by the slowness of whatever was happening. I'm just pointing that out. I'm not lobbying one way or the other. I'm just
So
passing on information.
Tanya, was it your impression, in this room that he could have been a better team player than he was?
No, I don't think that was, no, I don't think that was it at all. I think that, I think he was wanting to do more active stuff as opposed to talk about research that other people were doing.
I see.
So I think he was, perfect. He did a little bit of research on, I want to say it was the ODK house, if I remember correctly. Martha gave him some of that to do. So he, I'm not sure what he mentioned in his resume, but what I know him most for is he digitized the index for all of the non-recorded maps at the Register of Deeds. So that there's a document now that you can search and find these plats without having to, skim everything. So he's a doer.
Well, that's a good thing. That is a good thing.
It is, one possibility is, of course, to, have, propose more people than there are open slots, with, of course, highlighting the need for strong COA. So we could, urge in that particular case, and also the needing to be in a district or something. And I've got somebody at my door, so I'll be right back.
Just real quick, in Charlie's resume, Nick, he's got a degree from Virginia Tech and also Virginia Commonwealth, and one in Master's of Business Administration, the other in Public Administration. He's published 7 books of various related to history, some of it Virginia history and some of it other history. He's taught genealogical research courses on the college and junior college level, and he's been a certified genealogist for several years. So for research and stuff like that, I know him well enough that if the delicate language here needs to be coached on something related to his attitude in meetings, I can sit on him.
He did not have a bad attitude. I think we failed him.
No. He's an eager warrior on task. He just likes to go forward. He's a happy warrior, mostly.
All right. What's his last name?
Make sense? Blunt, B-L-U-N-T, Charlie Blunt. Okay. He's a 27-year employee of IBM.
Okay. No kin to the Missouri senator. Okay.
I don't think so. He's willing to run again. He's.
All right. I think that I lean to Tanya's idea, which she mentioned last time, that we ought to put up maybe 3 or maybe 4 and have them out there. And if so, yeah, I'm that commentary on Blunt impresses me, and the Gimbel impresses me, and Curtis impresses me, and so that's 3 right there that we might be tracking towards. And then I don't know what else we ought to do with it, but we do need to remember that periodically the city council goes totally outside of this and does what the heck they want to.
Mm-hmm. But I think if you think we put up more than 2 names, recommend more than 2 names, then we're putting, people to have to lobby against one another.
Or at least to send a letter, and if they actually know a council person, they might telephone them or something. But, yeah. But I do think that it doesn't hurt us to have a couple more out there, and then we build the strength of this thing if we pull several of these and put them on a committee and see if they start showing up. And we can that's largely pain-free to put several on our various committees. So
Okay, so who is it we want additional information from? Carolyn Gimbel.
we got everything we need. Carolyn Gimbel and what?
Is it Sarah Glad? Is that who you were?
No, we were talking about Charlie Blunt.
Yeah, but we have his information.
I think you mentioned Keith Donahue, Bridget Phillips, and Carolyn Gimbel specifically in the discussions.
Yeah, I did. The Keith Donahue has shown a lot of volunteer experience and business connections. We're hurting on African American folk. Seems to me.
And I don't. I see. It's kind of funny. We're allowed to actually put categories for race in here, and sometimes we're not supposed to. But yeah.
Well, we are asked very specifically. Like if I put something forward and don't indicate race, I will get an email from the city clerk saying, I need to know.
I understand it's kind of conflicted. On one hand, we're not supposed to consider it, and on the other hand, they ask for the information. But
we did have somebody from the last
right, that's what I was trying to look for.
Who was African American. She actually has been on a commission in Charleston, and she has a master's, and I think she has degrees in historic preservation. But part of her problem last time, she had temporarily moved to Cary, but she has now moved back to Raleigh.
Okay, who is that? Now, who is that? Okay.
I have to, let me see.
Well, I would say without that, just on that description, we should get her on our short list.
Oh, man.
I'm glad. I was trying to find it and I couldn't find it. So I'm glad you mentioned that. I thought there was somebody else.
I have her on some notes I have to try and find from.
Okay.
I'll have to find her and
all right.
get that.
So we got Charlie Blunt. We got the Cary mystery lady. We got Carolyn Gimbel, and we got Curtis. And then we have the Donahue guy. That maybe we need to keep on our list, and if we get, is that all other than gathering those together and keeping track of all this discussion so we don't have to do it again, are we at a place where other than to gather that little bit of additional information, we can stop for today and figure we do the rest of it next month?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so the two things we got to do then, you and Tanya need to find the name of the Cary mystery lady and her material. And then we needed to get the full write-up on Miss Gimbel.
Sandy Feaster is her name.
Okay, good for you.
Seems like
I
an
prom-
IBM
I
machine
promise.
over there.
I promise you, I could not have retrieved that
No,
5 minutes like you did, Kay.
it's funny because I found it right at the same time. So somehow her name, the clerk's office switched systems for tracking these, and her information did not transfer. So,
Okay.
yeah, I've got all her contact information if you don't. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm impressed. Actually, I feel, of course, I think I said this last year, but when we go through these things, I end up really impressed with the amount of talent and the amount of interested people. And I mean, I know it's a big city with thousands upon thousands of people, but we've certainly had times where we seem to be working off a really short list. I still think, now Gaston, how many years have you got left? 2 more?
2,
He's
right, Kay?
he, 2 more. He's being reappointed to his 3rd term. Or his 2nd term.
Okay,
He's
so he'll be, yeah, he's second
more.
term. Okay,
Second 2-year term, right?
well, you get 3.
Oh,
I think he might be.
Well, it doesn't matter. The only reason I bring it up is Gaston's got legal training when it's needed, and I think it's helpful to have that resource on this body.
Yeah, Gaston is serving his 2nd term.
He's in his 2nd term. He's getting ready to be reappointed to his 3rd.
Yep.
So it's
That
his
is
third.
correct.
end
He's
of
got
my,
2 more years.
Yep.
Right.
at the end of my
Yeah.
1st term.
So if you do reach out to
No, you're at
Sandy,
the end of your 2nd term.
Okay.
Your 1st term expired in 2019, June of 2019, according to this list I got. So your 2nd term is now expiring in June of 21. So you have 1 more term to serve.
Well, I don't know whether we need to mess with Donahue or not, but if we got Curtis, Case-Pang, the Gimbal, Blunt, Feaster, that's an abundance of riches right there.
Maybe next month we can also focus on those individuals that we would really like to get on the committee. And I'm not sure if we want to try to figure out where we think their talents would be best utilized, or just let them indicate to us if they're interested in serving in that capacity. There are so many really good options here, so we should utilize them.
I think so.
Okay.
And I think you're right. We should try to go ahead and slot them and tell them we would like to put them on this committee and see what they say. There may be some say, I don't want to do that. I really want to do X, but we can start by pursuing what we feel would help the most and see what we get. And so we could do that, and then we could divide up those names next month and call them and see what kind of feedback we're getting before. And if we did that, then we would have done all of that before we actually had to turn in any names to the city council anyway.
Mm-hmm.
so who's
Okay.
reaching out to the,
I'm sorry. I'll wait. Let me know when.
No, go ahead.
My internal notes in my records, which I have reason to think are pretty good, I first came on the board in July 2017, commission. So I don't know what list you're looking at, but mine shows July 2017.
And that's
Which
exactly
still
what
was
Kay,
fine.
that's exactly what Kay said. You're in 2021, you're wrapping up 4 years. And so you get reappointed, you got 2 more
Right.
before you max out. By which point you will no doubt be considered to have been a legend on this body.
You know, very funny, Nick. Very funny.
Oh, okay. So what were you asking, Tanya? Who's going to reach out to what? Is that what you was asking?
reach out to the folks that we need resume and or letter of interest?
I can do that. I'll do that. I'll send them an email.
All right.
And do you have Sandy Feaster's contact information?
I do, I think, yes, I
Okay.
do.
All right. Well, this all sounds good, folks.
Okay, so let me get this straight. We need Keith Donahue, Bridget Phillips, and Carolyn Gimbel. We need resumes from them, more detailed information. If somebody else, we need it.
Right, and an update from Sandy Feaster.
Sandy
if she's-
Feaster, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, and then we have other names that we think are pretty good, but we don't need any more information from them.
Okay,
And so we're not telling Phillips or Donahue that the reason we're asking for this is because we're almost certain to send their name forward, because that's not true.
no,
But
okay.
we do want more information because the committee's trying to be diligent.
All right.
All